Alright, so welcome to Photoshop. In this video tutorial, I'm going to go over the interface and just talk about the setup, the layout, the panels, and all that kind of stuff. So here I have Photoshop already opened up, and the first thing I want to point out is that I actually have multiple images opened up. And when you open up multiple images at the same time in Photoshop, they will open up as separate tabs. These are also all past student examples of different projects. One of the first projects you have the deconstructed image, and then there's another one a little bit later on, the cyborg body. It's deconstructed image. Okay, so they all open up as tabs. The next thing to point out is probably the toolbar. So the toolbar is what I have over here, and these are the tools that you're going to be working with an awful lot. I can display the toolbar as a double row by clicking on this arrow, or as a single row, and if I want to click and drag it around, there's kind of this very faint little bar right here that I'm going to click and drag on. And I can move that around. So all of these tools, well, not all of them, but just about all of them, have a little triangle on the bottom right hand corner, and if you click on that and hold it down for a second, you can see that there are other tools embedded within. So there are actually lots of different tools within the toolbar. So I could switch between tools. So instead of the paintbrush, for example, what if I want the pencil tool? So I'll just select that one, and that's the tool. So maybe take a minute and just click on all of these different tools, and so you can see what the other tools are that are embedded within. And then the next thing I want to talk about is how all of these tools work with the options bar up here at the top. So these tools, they all have like default settings and just, things that can be changed, such as their opacity. Some tools can become like their complete opposite. For example, the magnifying tool zooms in, or I could go up to the options bar and I could change that to become a zoom out tool. There's also a keyboard shortcut for that, but just as an example. So I pick a tool here and I can look up in the options bar and change some of the presets. The paintbrush tool, which is the tool that you're going to use for your first project, there are a lot of changes I can make in it, including that's where I can go to find a different type of paintbrush and a different size. I can also change the opacity. So maybe I don't want to paint at 100%, but I want to paint at a lower opacity. So I'll go into these things more later, but the basic idea about the toolbar is keep in mind there are other tools embedded within, and then each one of those tools you can change the presets for that tool right up here in the options bar. So moving right along to the main menu, File is where you're going to do, it's what you have in common with a lot of other programs, but open, save, print, things like that. Under Edit, a lot of these things I'm going to ask you to try to learn the keyboard shortcuts for, but pasting, copying, but we'll also get into transforming where we can rotate and things like that. Under Image, in the next video, I'm going to talk about image mode and how to change the image mode. Adjustments, we'll spend a lot of time here in adjustments, and that's those specific things you probably have heard about from Photoshop where we can change the colors and things like that. Also, image rotation and canvas size, image size, we'll spend time here. Layer, a lot of the things that are here under Layer, you can also get to from the Layers panel, and I'll point that out in a second. Under Type, all the things that you would expect to find with Type. Select involves with everything that's a selection, so selection is if I want to isolate one part of my image maybe, so I could just apply some effects to just that selected part. Filters we'll get to way down about halfway through the semester or a little bit later. I don't spend a lot of time with filters. 3D is something we do not touch in this class, but if you take Digital Imaging 2, they go over that. And under View, definitely there's some areas that we'll come across here that we use, such as rulers. You can notice I have my rulers up. If you don't, you can get them under Rulers. Under Show, we have things like Grid. So when we get to our projects that use text, we'll definitely be coming back under here. Window shows you all of these other panels that I don't have open. So I do have my tools open and I have my layers open, but let's say I wanted to work with text and I wanted to have characters, so that's going to open up another panel. And also if I close a panel by accident, I close my layers panel, or I'll say I'm working on this panel, the character panel, and I'll close it and I want to open it up again, I go back under Window and that's where I'm going to get to it. And Help is where you can find some additional Adobe help on the web. So then moving down over here, actually, sorry, I should point out one more. Under Window, Workspace. If you want to have your workspace look like mine, I am under the Essentials default. There are several different workspaces. So let's say I wanted to work in graphic and web. It's going to change the panels that are open. I'll just choose a different one. So under Workspace, maybe I'll try Photography. And so now it's changed the panels that are open over here again. I'll just switch right back to Essentials default. All right, so over here, these are the panels that you just saw moving around. And under Essentials default, I just have my Layers panel open. But we'll be working with additional ones over here. Another panel that I would highly recommend having open all the time is your History panel. So I'll go to Window and choose History. And this is the panel that's going to record my last 25 steps. This is going to be very useful for going backwards, undoing things. And I'll talk about this in another video. But so this one is frequently open. If I don't want to take up this screen real estate and I don't want to have it floating, I can click it and drag it over here. And as I get this blue bar, it docks. And I could have it attached over here. And I could also minimize it by clicking on the double arrows up here, and now it becomes this little icon. So Layers panel, we'll spend a lot of time over here in the Layers panel. Just to notice that a lot of these panels, you may have seen it when I pulled up the character one, they come with other tabs there as well. So each panel may have, just like our tool panel over here, may be embedded with other panels as well. So lots of information. There's so much information in Photoshop. Screen real estate becomes really important, learning just to embed, to dock or undock, close, and then open up these different panels, all will become really important. So that's basically it in terms of the interface, and then in the next video we're going to jump into just simply opening up or copying and pasting documents into Photoshop.